back to Ice Wolves Insider. It's now time for our usual From the Stand segment. This is where we talk to Ice Wolves followers. And tonight's program, our guests are Keith Kratchmer and Daniel Fink. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Kelly.
Thanks, Kelly.
All right. So obviously, we're talking about a first-place club now, and a club that has actually opened up a 7-point lead on some pretty good competition in this conference. This is a really competitive conference. We got a week to go before the Christmas break. Just talk about it. How do you think, what is it that's worked for the Ice Wolves in terms of getting here? I'll start with you there, Daniel.
Well, a lot of it's been the strength of that first line. I mean, you're going to go a long way when 3 of your guys have over 50 points. 2 of them have over 60 now, the top 3 scorers in the league. And their defense hasn't been as bad as everybody thought it would. It really came together after the first couple weeks of the season. The young D really kind of found its way in the additions made throughout the season. Byron Sorensen, Robert Monfort really has found his game after maybe a shaky few first games, but he's really been solid now, and he's eliminated some of the bad penalties from his game. So it's really been coming together of late.
Keith, what do you see as the keys to their success so far?
I think the first line, too, they're still scoring like they have been for the last number of games. They're keeping that momentum going. The second line is doing very well, and the third and the fourth lines are doing very well, too. But I think one major thing is that if they do have a loss, they bounce back the next day. It's not like they have 2, 3, 4 losses in a row. They're able to get back to the winning track again, and Daniel said too, the defense is certainly not as well, maybe not as strong as everyone thought, but I think doing very well. They're starting to gel and they're starting to chip in too.
All right. So what we've been seeing in recent weeks is, the Ice Wolves took over first, so then they were like maybe 3 points up, and now 5 points up, and now most recently 7 points up. Do you think this is a trend we're going to continue to see, or do you think the other teams are going to narrow that gap or at least keep it at that level? What do you see happening in this conference? Start with you there, Daniel.
Well, it's always tough to know what's going to happen coming out of the break. Last season I was with a team in the AJHL, and they were doing pretty well, about third in their division coming into the Christmas break, and I don't ever want to put this on the Wolves, but they ended up kind of doing a little bit of a free fall. So you never know what's going to happen after that break. Anything can happen. You got a very strong team in Humboldt that could find its way over the break. You never know, and they were unbelievable to start the season, and who knows, they might get on another tear. So the Ice Wolves, they've just got to play their game. They can't worry about everybody else in the conference and what everybody else is doing. They just got to stay strong and stick to their guns.
All right, Keith?
Well, I think barring injuries, any key injuries, I don't see why we can't carry on. It's they've been carrying this on for the last number of games, and I don't see why the momentum would stop. Unless the other teams certainly are soon find a way to stop, say, the top line or the top 2 lines. I think they should be able to carry that momentum on.
A question a lot of people have right now is, okay, last year, especially in the SJHL, we saw a lot of the top-ranked teams over the regular season fall during the playoffs, so of course the Ice Wolves and the Terriers. And, a lot of people wondering, okay, is this, obviously this is the first-place team, is this got a playoff team makeup as well? What do you guys think about that? I'll start with you there, Daniel.
Well, it definitely helps that they've got so many players from that team last year, and getting Robert Monfort back helps that out. Adam Barkio, he was a goaltender through that with Joel Daniluk. The top line was all there. So many character players on this team. I think that's an important makeup of this team, and something that might be lacking is what a lot of people think in a team like Humboldt is those character guys, those leadership guys who knows what it takes to win. Taylor Pillar, great one. All he's ever done in this league is win. So when you've got guys like that, you're bound for success in the playoffs.
All right, Keith, do you think this is a playoff caliber team as well?
Oh, I definitely do. The only thing that I could see that may become a barrier is if we have the games where we allow 6, 7 goals. We've got to stop that. Just put the brakes on that. I don't know how you do it, but certainly if we can limit it to within 3 or 4, we're definitely going to score at least 5 or 6. So I don't think there'd be a problem.
Yeah. Obviously, with the first place club, it's really difficult. It becomes increasingly harder to talk about team needs because they seem to be firing on all cylinders. But the reality is, of course, the January 10th trade deadline is coming up. The Ice will still have some flexibility to make a couple of moves if they wanted to. What do you guys see potentially happening there? Is there something you think, one element that maybe they could have a little bit more of, or something that they're maybe missing right now? Start with you there, Daniel.
Well, it's going to come back to the D-line again. I think I've said this on this show before, is they still need that one big guy that teams are afraid of. You need that guy that has people looking over their shoulder. We thought Taylor DeSayer might be that guy. He's a bigger fellow, but he's more positional. He's good at using his stick to get in the way, getting his body in the way, not necessarily a physical player. They're still looking for that physical punishing defenseman or that real stalwart. They have a lot of great offensive defensemen on this team, and they're still trying to find that one big physical guy. And A couple examples, really good example actually, James Howden in Notre Dame, excellent defenseman who eats up a lot of minutes. He plays most of the game for that team, and some people have even said that the Ice Wolves might try and go out and get a player like that, but we'll have to see what happens before January 10th.
All right. Keith, your thoughts on that subject at all?
Well, I don't know. I would like to see, Bartko and Hovdebo have been playing well, but I would like to see a top goalie. If we could get that, I think that would solidify it 100%. I don't think there'd be any stopping us. If we could have a goalie that is unstoppable all the time, although I don't know where you're going to get this fellow from. Maybe in some
Christmas.
NHL cast-off.
Santa's going to bring us a goalie.
That would be great. I think that would be the icing on the cake. But if not, I think what we do have, we'll just make do, and maybe a defenseman, maybe a game-breaking defenseman.
All right.
Would be a good addition as well.
There you go. A couple other things I want to touch on here. Of course, news just broke in the last week or two that the Ice Wolves will be one of 4 SJHL teams playing this under 17 Swedish national team here. A lot of people not sure what to make of what's going to come of that December 30th matchup. What do you guys see coming out of it, or what are you looking forward to seeing in that game? Maybe start with you there, Daniel.
Well, I'm actually really upset because I'm not going to be here for that game. I'm still going to be back in Calgary, so I'm going to miss that. But this is a team coming in here that is probably a little annoyed because they're not going to be at the under 17 challenge. They were surprised. Apparently, they'd even started booking flights for this thing, and then they found out they weren't getting an invite. So they're coming over here with a bit of a chip on their shoulder. And this is a team that's got several NHL alumni in it, not just a couple, several that have gone in the first round. These are going to be some NHL products, first rounders that are going to be on this team. So it's going to be an excellent team, and if you can, definitely get out to see this game.
Good night to buy a program for sure, yeah. That's my plug for the Ice Wolves program booth there. Keith, what do you see coming out of this?
Well, I think it'll be a good game. Hopefully they'll be tired from playing the night before in Flin Flon, but if we can get our legs back in time after the Christmas break, if we can get our legs back in time and our timing, I think we should do well because we've played together as a team for quite a length of time. I don't know how long the Swedish team has been together, but hopefully it'll be a good. I hope one doesn't really dominate the other. I hope it's close, and of course I hope that we prevail.
Yeah. Just finally, some league news. A lot of people, I think, were surprised at maybe the timing of this, but the Kratchmer Clippers and Larry Wintoniak announced that they'd have a mutual parting of ways. This just came down today. Just your thoughts. Did you guys see something like this coming down the pipe there in Kindersley? Start with you there, Daniel.
Well, I don't think anybody really saw it coming. Just some people might have suspected with, I think, about 4 players jumping ship this season from Kindersley. One deciding he just doesn't want to play hockey anymore, a few requesting trades out, and some people say it might have been expected. I mean, a lot of L'Orange fans will remember Larry from his time here, and he's not exactly popular here. But the timing of it, especially, he signed a 2-year contract extension before the season with the Kindersley Clippers. So not only is it a personnel move, but it's a big financial decision to eat that contract as well. And it's junior hockey. It's not like money's growing on trees everywhere, especially Kindersley with the fire last year. They've definitely not deep in the pockets right now. So it was an important decision. And of course, on the personnel side, you've changed your coach about halfway through the season, well, almost exactly halfway through the season. But according to a bunch of the players, what we've been hearing today is it was not working. Players weren't happy coming to the rink. Players were afraid to make mistakes, and you don't want to have that. It's supposed to be a game. It's supposed to be fun. These are kids still.
Keith, you get the final word there, and Larry Wintoniak.
Well, I didn't see it coming, but it's not surprising. I think any time a team is not doing as well as expected, the coach is fair game, and who knows what was going on behind the scenes at the board and with the players. And it's probably a move they felt they had to make to get the fans excited again. And I think that's probably one of the main things, is to make sure you don't lose your fan base.
Yeah. Okay. Well, gentlemen, thanks very much for being on the program, and have a great Christmas.
Thanks, Kelly. You too.
You too.
All right. Just joining us, this has been From the Stands on Ice Wolves Insider. We've been joined by Ice Wolves followers Daniel Fink and Keith Kratchmer. We'll be right back to wrap things up. Well, that's all the time we have for this evening's edition of Ice Wolves Insider. I want to thank our special guests this evening. That would be Ice Wolves assistant coach Gavin Holcomb, as well as Ice Wolves players Justin Ducharme and Phil Cliché, and of course our fans and from the stands, Keith Kratchmer and Daniel Fink. Just a quick programming note, obviously with the Christmas break coming up, we'll be off the air for a couple of weeks, but we'll be back for the January 4th edition. So we'll see you then. Have a great Christmas.